Hello and welcome to the final coaching session for Pixel International's Active Reciprocal Reading Programme. Habari, a very warm welcome to you all and thank you for sticking with us until the end of the course. So here we are, we're at the final session. The summarising or summary is the last step in the Active Reciprocal Reading process, and it fits neatly within Pixel's overall 5 steps to improvement. What I'd like to do is briefly talk us through steps 1, 2, 3 and 4 and the sessions that we've already done, remind ourselves of the aims of the ARR programme and the 5 steps that we take that we're practicing in our schools now, and then we'll look at some ways in which we can perhaps develop and extend ARR in our schools and between our schools. So you will remember, I'm sure, that what we're trying to do here is to improve students' reading of English, because reading we've identified as one of the main barriers to progress for students in Tanzania. We're going to look at this in a partnership approach. We're working together. You are the experts at teaching in your schools. We bring some expertise from the UK as far as reading theory and pedagogy, teaching and learning is concerned. This is the last of the 5 sessions. I did promise I'd be finished by the end of August, and we're going to do that today. We are encouraging yourselves as kind of evangelists for this programme to trial it with your students and to spread the word with other staff and schools. I want to remind ourselves about the control techniques and also how we might develop ARR in our schools by doing a little bit on a regular basis, little and often. Now, you'll remember that all of these are posted on YouTube. You'll be aware of that if you're watching this, but don't forget to tell other people that these coaching sessions are available for anyone who has been involved in the Pixel International program. So our role throughout this has been, to explain the program to you, get your feedback. We've had little bits of feedback already, to offer advice and guidance as you move forward to implement and embed the program, and to learn from you. Your role, we're hoping, is that you will continue working with your students on ARR, that you trial a variety of texts, not just stories and poems and novels, but non-fiction in other subject areas, in science and maths and history. And because you'll be using new text, varying the texts, I hope that you will be adapting and improving the suggestions, the 5-step suggestions that we've been making. And we can do that by listening to our students, taking feedback from them about how they feel about the program. And that feedback will be vital for us in helping us improve the program for other schools in Tanzania, and also using this program in other countries. So this is action research. You're the professionals, you're implementing ARR, and we hope that you will be reflecting on your students' improvements in reading, looking for any barriers that crop up that you could tell us about, and strategies for overcoming them. And in order to do that, you'll need to collect evidence of impact. What's working? Maybe take some brief notes, maybe observe students and look at their reading behavior, maybe video a session if you could do that. And once you've collected some of these ideas and feedback clips, sharing your professional learning with us and also your colleagues, so that you become the experts in your school and your area. So here we are, the active reciprocal reading cycle. To begin with, when we're starting a new text or even returning to a text, we want to activate prior knowledge. We want to help students refocus on the text in hand. To do that, making a prediction is a very good way of focusing and gaining their attention and making sure that they are thinking about what they've already read and what might come next. The reading step, step 2, can be done in a variety of ways, which we've talked about, but it's basically you as the teacher could read, students can echo read, they can pair read by working with a partner, or they could performance read by performing a reading to the whole class. So different ways to vary it to keep their levels of interest and engagement high. Clarify is about spotting the tricky words, the hard, difficult to define words, and explaining those before we get to the questioning. If we declutter the text, as we call it, remove the difficult words, tell them what those definitions are, when we get to the questioning step, then pupils and students are able to really analyze in depth because there are no barriers. They can think about the question, look for evidence in the text, and provide a response because they know the key terms. And then finally, summarizing. The summary step, which we're going to be looking at today, is very much about synthesizing, making sure that they have secured the learning in that session. Review and reflect is really about stepping back from the process and helping students understand what they've learned, how they've learned it, and how they can transfer that learning to other reading situations. So we'll say more about that later today. Now, we really hope that you will be able to continue this in your schools by taking feedback from your students, implementing the ARR cycle, collecting evidence of impact, and using that to promote the programme with other classes and other schools. It's based on oracy. So oracy is talk, using talk in classrooms, because active reciprocal reading is based on discussion, talking about text. Now, if you are brave enough and you can film yourself doing this, you've then got more evidence that you can show other colleagues in schools. So what are the ways in which we might extend ARR? Well, we could demonstrate paired talk to other members of staff. It's a very powerful tool for enabling students to engage and rehearse their responses. We can encourage more students to participate across the school. To do that, you would have to be the evangelist. You would have to tell other staff about the students who are doing well and why they're doing well. And also, if you can, explain to other colleagues how to use ARR control techniques with the classes. Just having some simple signals to start talking, to stop talking. Because in a large class, those instructions help you manage to control the group when it's a large group, as they are often in Tanzanian schools. Also, little and often. I'm not asking you to do active reciprocal reading every time you read, or even for the whole reading session. A little bit on a regular basis, regular practice gives students confidence. We've suggested maybe 15 minutes twice a week, but you could vary that according to your class and your timetable. We'd ask you as well to use the terms, use the ARR terms: predict, read, clarify, question, summarize, so that students begin to use those. They are the skills that they will need to understand, become familiar with, and to use independently. And when they do use them, praise them, give them some positive feedback. Now, you've got this template. I haven't had any feedback on the template yet, but it would be good to know perhaps if we are sometime next year, we may be able to see colleagues who've been on this course to see if whether you've been able to develop this or whether this has been something that is kind of integrated into your planning anyway. So let's move on to today's session, the final session, summarizing or summary, and crucially using talk or oracy in large classrooms. So summary is the final step, the final fifth step. Predict, read, clarify, question, summarize. So summarize can be defined as a brief statement of the main points. So we don't want everything reported on that they've read. We want students to be able to pick out 2 or 3 main points in the passage that they've just read. So why do we summarize at this point in the ARR cycle? Well, summary is a crucial skill because it helps students to secure or consolidate their learning during the session. And we use it because summary encourages a reader to identify the main points or the most important points in the text. These are the key learning points that they'll transfer into the next section of their reading. Now, when a student summarizes, they will identify and integrate important information, put it into their own words, and leave out the details. So this is sometimes called a précis, a summary. So it's about synthesizing information down to 2 or 3 main points. And to do this, they have to understand and manipulate what they've already read and put it in their own words. A good summary uses what's been read before, includes the new information that's moved their readers on, and sets up a prediction for the next section. So what is the teacher's role in all this? Well, in your early sessions, when you begin ARR, you will need to demonstrate or model a good summary, because this is often the trickiest part of the ARR cycle. Now, to do this, as a teacher, you might need to actually write down in advance a summary so that you've got that ready. You don't have to think about it on the spot. You could, as I've indicated in the planning template, write it down there. So I've copied that onto the screen, and in our planning template, I did say summarize. This will be what you'd say. As a reader, we students have learned about maps and the information they contain. You've also worked in pairs to predict, echo read, clarify, and answer questions. As simple as that. It has to be simple, it has to be brief, but it has to have the main points. Now you can see in the planning template, I've got that summary planned in red there for my session, and that's an easy way of doing it in the early stages of implementing ARR with classes. So what would the student's role be in the 5th step, the summary step? Well, initially, when students are still learning about summarizing, they need to listen to your examples very carefully. Once they've understood what a good summary is, you as the teacher can ask the students in pairs to maybe write down 2 or 3 key points of the text you've just read. So we've just read 2 paragraphs of a text. We've clarified it. We've answered some questions on it. Right. In your pairs, think of 2, 3 main points, no more than that. What are the main points? and then ask for volunteers to share their thinking. You could decide with the whole class if they agree with those students' example. Is there anything else they would include in that summary? It's important to keep practicing because summary skills are very important in all aspects of education, and it's a skill that pupils will need to understand and develop for themselves if they are to become independent. So there we are. There's the 5 steps: predict, read, clarify, question, summarize. Just a few thoughts to finish off the program. Each time you do ARR with a group, we need to practice all 5 steps at the same time in the cycle. What this should do after a few weeks of practicing, it should help you and your students create a dialogue or a conversation about the text. And it's this discussion, this dialogue, that helps students make meaning, generate understanding, comprehend. As a teacher, you'll need to demonstrate or model some of the strategies, but as your students become more aware of the 5-step process, they'll become more active through paired discussion and feedback, and they will take a greater role as you move forward. And as they do this, they will develop their skills and their confidence. So there we have the 5-step process. We began with activating prior knowledge and prediction. We spent a session talking about different ways we could read and clarify. That clarification is all about simply identifying any barriers, anything that's going to stop them, prevent them answering questions. The questioning session is the heart of ARR because that encourages students to dig a little deeper, to analyze the text, to look for evidence, and to practice responses. Summary is about bringing it all together, the key points of the learning, and then finally, the review and reflect. This is very important because this is what enables students to become effective, independent learners. After a few sessions, it's crucial to review and reflect on the ARR cycle with students. Do they understand the 5 steps? Are they finding some steps easier or harder than others? Can students use ARR in their own private reading yet? This process of review and reflect is sometimes called metacognition, knowing how to learn. But it's important because when students know how to learn, it enables them to become independent learners. So here we are. What have we done? Well, with Mr. Fundy's support, we have so far run the AR workshops in Morogoro schools many months ago, but very happy memories. Recruited yourselves and other teachers on the WhatsApp group for the AR coaching program, and completed sessions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the program. We would love your feedback, particularly on WhatsApp. And if you're watching this now, then all 5 sessions are linked to YouTube on the app, and all of the presentations, the PowerPoint presentations, are there for you to look at as well. So the app is there. We're looking for your feedback. We hope that you managed to access the YouTube links. I've had some feedback and colleagues have done that so far. We really want you to spread the word. And if you've managed to get to the end of the program, thank you for sticking with us. I look forward to hearing from you and possibly even seeing you sometime in the future. Best wishes. Bye-bye now.